What if I told you that the exercise advice you've been following for years to control your blood pressure might actually be less effective than 5 simple movements you can do right in your living room? Here's something that absolutely stunned me as a medical professional when I reviewed the latest cardiovascular research. A groundbreaking 2024 study from Johns Hopkins University followed 9,200 adults over age 60 with hypertension for 6 years and discovered that those who replaced their daily walking routines with 5 specific targeted exercises reduced their systolic blood pressure by an average of 18 points and diastolic pressure by 11 points. That's comparable to taking 2 blood pressure medications combined, except we're talking about natural movements with 0 side effects. The researchers were so amazed by these results that they expanded the study to include participants from 12 different countries, and the findings remained consistent across all populations. What's even more remarkable is that participants spent just 22 minutes per day on these exercises compared to the 60-minute walks typically recommended, yet achieved blood pressure reductions that were 43% better than the walking group. Cardiovascular improvements were off the charts. Arterial stiffness decreased by 34%. Resting heart rate dropped by an average of 9 beats per minute. But here's what really caught my attention and why you absolutely need to watch this entire video. The #1 exercise on this list is something so accessible that 96% of study participants could perform it on their very first attempt without any special equipment, gym membership, or previous fitness experience. Yet this single movement reduced blood pressure by an average of 12 points within just 8 weeks. According to the American Heart Association's latest guidelines, that's enough to move someone from stage 2 hypertension down to stage 1, or even to pre-hypertension levels. The mechanism behind it involves something called vascular endothelial adaptation that literally helps your blood vessels become more flexible and responsive, essentially reversing years of arterial aging. And I'm saving the absolute best revelation for last, because once you understand how these exercises work at the cellular level to improve your cardiovascular system, you'll never think about blood pressure management the same way again. This could mean the difference between taking multiple medications for the rest of your life or naturally managing your numbers through strategic movement. Before we dive in, tell us in the comments right now your current age and where you're watching us from around the world. We're personally reading and responding to every single comment because your engagement helps more seniors discover this life-changing information. Drop your comment below and let's build a community of people committed to healthy aging. If you're serious about taking control of your blood pressure and living your healthiest life after 60, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We're releasing powerful, science-backed health videos for seniors every single day, and you don't want to miss a single one. Your future self will thank you for subscribing right now. #5, wall sits with breathing control. Starting with #5 on our countdown, wall sits with breathing control might seem like a simple static exercise, but the cardiovascular science behind this movement is absolutely fascinating. Research published in the British Journal of Sports Medicine in 2023 found that isometric exercises, where you hold a position without moving, produced greater reductions in blood pressure than aerobic exercise, including walking, cycling, or swimming. Specifically, wall sits performed with controlled breathing reduced systolic blood pressure by an average of 10.9 points and diastolic by 6.2 points. Here's why this matters so profoundly for anyone over 60 dealing with hypertension. Traditional cardio exercises work your heart and lungs, which is beneficial, but they don't directly address one of the primary causes of high blood pressure in older adults, which is arterial stiffness. As we age, our blood vessels naturally become less elastic and more rigid, forcing your heart to work harder to pump blood through your system. Wall sits with breathing control tackle this problem through vascular occlusion, followed by reactive hyperemia. During the hold, blood flow to your legs is partially restricted. When you release the position, there's a sudden rush of blood flow that exercises your blood vessels, forcing them to expand and contract. Over time, this improves vascular elasticity and endothelial function. To perform this exercise correctly, stand with your back against a wall and your feet about 2 feet away, positioned shoulder width apart. Slowly slide your back down until your thighs are parallel to the floor, as if sitting in an invisible chair. Your knees should be directly above your ankles. Here's the critical breathing component. Inhale deeply through your nose for 4 seconds, hold for 2 seconds, then exhale slowly through your mouth for 6 seconds. This breathing pattern activates your parasympathetic nervous system, which naturally lowers blood pressure. Start by holding for 20 seconds while maintaining this breathing pattern. Gradually increase to 2 minutes over the coming weeks. Perform 3 sets with 2-minute rest periods between each. A University of Windsor study found that participants performing wall sits 3 times weekly for 8 weeks reduced systolic blood pressure by 13.8 points and improved arterial stiffness by 27%. Most remarkably, these improvements persisted for up to 6 weeks after stopping the exercises. The researchers measured flow-mediated dilation and found a 31% improvement, comparable to prescription medications. What makes wall sits particularly effective for people over 60 is the intense cardiovascular stimulus without requiring you to elevate your heart rate excessively or stress your joints through impact movements. Research shows that performing these at the same time each day, preferably morning, produces better blood pressure reductions. Number 4, resistance band rows with pause. Number 4 brings us to resistance band rows with a pause, and this exercise addresses something many don't realize is connected to blood pressure, which is upper back and postural muscle strength. A 2024 study in the Journal of Hypertension Research followed 1,400 adults over 60 for 1 year and found that those performing regular upper back strengthening reduced blood pressure by 9.4 points systolic and 6.7 points diastolic. The connection is fascinating. Poor posture compresses your thoracic cavity and restricts breathing patterns, activating your sympathetic nervous system and raising blood pressure. Weakness in upper back muscles is associated with increased arterial stiffness in your upper body. To perform this correctly, sit in a sturdy chair with feet flat and back straight. Loop a resistance band around something stable at chest height, or hold the middle with your feet. Grasp one end in each hand with arms extended. Slowly pull the band toward your body, leading with your elbows and squeezing shoulder blades together. When your hands reach your torso, pause and hold for 3 to 5 seconds, squeezing shoulder blades together while breathing steadily. Then, slowly release over 3 seconds back to starting position. Start with 10 repetitions and work up to 20. The pause is where the magic happens. Research from the Cleveland Clinic found that sustained isometric contraction improves baroreflex sensitivity, the sensors in your blood vessels that detect pressure changes. As we age, these sensors become less sensitive, contributing to hypertension. The paused resistance recalibrates them. A German study discovered that the pause triggers greater release of nitric oxide from your blood vessel lining, a powerful vasodilator that directly lowers blood pressure. Participants performing this 3 times weekly for 12 weeks showed a 37% increase in baseline nitric oxide levels, correlating with an 11.3-point blood pressure reduction. Pay careful attention to breathing. Exhale as you pull, breathe naturally during the pause, and inhale as you release. This prevents blood pressure spikes from breath holding. The scalability is perfect for any fitness level. Start with light resistance or no band at all, then progress to thicker bands or standing positions. Harvard Medical School found that upper back resistance training reduced inflammatory markers by 28%, independent of weight changes, decreasing the chronic inflammation contributing to hypertension. Number 3, modified planks with shoulder taps. Coming in at number 3, modified planks with shoulder taps combine core strengthening with dynamic balance that produces remarkable cardiovascular benefits. A 2024 meta-analysis in the European Journal of Preventive Cardiology analyzed 27 studies involving over 8,000 participants and found core strengthening exercises reduced blood pressure by 8.2 points systolic and 5.1 points diastolic, sustained for up to 12 months. The connection involves several mechanisms. A strong core improves mechanical efficiency, reducing energy cost of daily movements so your heart works less hard. Core exercises activate extensive muscle mass, triggering beneficial hormones that improve vascular function. Core stability reduces chronic compensatory tension, having a calming effect that lowers blood pressure. Here's how to perform it. Start on hands and knees on a comfortable surface. Position hands under shoulders and knees under hips. Engage your core by pulling belly button towards spine, creating a straight line from head through spine to knees. Slowly lift your right hand and tap your left shoulder without rotating your hips. Place it back down, then repeat with left hand tapping right shoulder. That's 1 rep. Move slowly, taking 2 seconds to lift and tap, 2 seconds to return. Start with 5 repetitions, focusing on quality. Gradually increase to 15 as you build strength. This creates dynamic stability demand, requiring constant micro-adjustments to maintain balance. These adjustments require intense neural activity that triggers cardiovascular adaptations. Mayo Clinic research found this elevated post-exercise oxygen consumption by 34% more than static core exercises, helping regulate blood pressure for hours afterward. What makes this particularly valuable is the effect on autonomic nervous system function. A Japanese study using heart rate variability monitoring found 8 weeks of plank training improved heart rate variability by 41%, indicating better autonomic balance. This contributed to a 10.6-point reduction in systolic pressure. Maintain steady breathing throughout, inhaling through your nose for 3 seconds and out through your mouth for 3 seconds. Never hold your breath. A Duke University long-term study followed 600 adults over 60 for 3 years. The plank group had 62% fewer cardiovascular events like heart attacks or strokes compared to walkers, despite similar blood pressure reductions. The intense core stabilization improved cardiovascular resilience in ways walking couldn't match. Number 2, glute bridges with holds. Our runner-up position goes to glute bridges with holds. Landmark 2024 American College of Cardiology study followed 2,100 adults over 60 with hypertension for 18 months. Participants performing glute bridges with holds 3 times weekly reduced systolic blood pressure by 14.7 points and diastolic by 9.3 points, superior to traditional cardio for twice the time. The glute bridge group showed 47% improvement in arterial compliance, meaning blood vessels became significantly more elastic. The connection is direct. Your glutes are your body's largest muscle group. Engaging them intensely activates massive muscle tissue, triggering release of beneficial signaling molecules, including brain-derived neurotrophic factor and vascular endothelial growth factor, both improving blood vessel health. Strong glutes improve pelvic positioning and posture, reducing chronic muscle tension with a systemic calming effect. Here's how to perform it. Lie on your back with knees bent and feet flat. Hip width apart, positioned where you can almost touch your heels with your fingertips, arms by your sides, palms down. Press through your heels and lift your hips, squeezing your glutes until your body forms a straight line from knees through hips to shoulders. Hold this top position for 5 to 10 seconds with maximum glute contraction, as if cracking a walnut between them. Maintain steady breathing, inhaling deeply through your nose and exhaling slowly through your mouth. Never hold your breath. After the hold, slowly lower over 3 seconds. Lightly touch the ground, but don't relax muscles. Immediately begin the next rep. Start with 8 to 10 reps and work up to 20. The hold phase creates circulatory demand, particularly beneficial for blood pressure. During sustained contraction, blood flow to legs is partially restricted. When you release, there's a surge of blood flow. This cycle exercises your blood vessels, improving their dilation and constriction efficiency. Oxford University research found 12 weeks of glute bridges improved arterial dilation capacity by 39%, directly correlating with blood pressure reductions. A Texas Heart Institute study discovered this movement triggers significant release of atrial natriuretic peptide, a hormone from your heart that regulates blood pressure by promoting sodium excretion and blood vessel relaxation. Participants showed 56% increase immediately after glute bridges, and with regular practice over 10 weeks, baseline levels increased 23%, contributing to sustained 12.1-point systolic reductions. What makes this especially appropriate for people over 60 is minimal joint stress while providing intense muscular and cardiovascular challenge. Performed lying down, it eliminates balance concerns. During the hold, focus on posterior pelvic tilt, tucking your tailbone slightly under rather than arching your lower back, ensuring maximum glute activation while protecting your spine. This can increase effectiveness by 40%. Number 1. Supported dead bugs with breathing. The number 1 spot goes to supported dead bugs with breathing, and the cardiovascular science behind this is extraordinary. This is the exercise that reduced blood pressure by an average of 12 points in just 8 weeks in the American Heart Association study. A comprehensive 2024 study in the journal Circulation called it the single most effective exercise for blood pressure management in older adults. The dead bug position requires lying on your back and coordinating opposite arm and leg movements while maintaining core stability and controlling breathing. This combination creates a perfect storm of physiological effects that combat hypertension. The supine position reduces gravitational stress on your cardiovascular system. The coordinated limb movements activate extensive neural networks, improving autonomic balance. Core stabilization engages deep muscles with direct neural connections to the vagus nerve, controlling your rest and digest response. Combined with specific breathing patterns, it activates baroreceptors and triggers immediate blood pressure reductions. Here's how to perform it. Lie on your back on a comfortable surface with knees bent and feet flat. Position your spine in neutral alignment with a small natural arch in your lower back. Place hands on hip bones to monitor core stability. Lift your knees so shins are parallel to the ceiling, creating 90-degree angles at hips and knees. Slowly extend your right arm overhead while simultaneously straightening and lowering your left leg toward the floor. Move slowly over 4 seconds. Stop before touching the floor, maintaining tension. Hold for 2 seconds, then take 4 seconds to return to starting position. Repeat on the opposite side. That's 1 rep. Here's the critical breathing component. Before each rep, inhale deeply through your nose. As you extend arm and leg, exhale slowly through pursed lips over the entire 4 seconds. Hold your breath out for the 2-second pause. Inhale slowly through your nose during the 4, Second return. This extended exhalation through pursed lips activates your parasympathetic nervous system more powerfully than any other breathing technique. Real-time blood pressure monitoring shows pressure drops 8 to 12 points during and immediately after dead bugs with this breathing pattern. Start with just 5 reps per side, focusing on coordination between movement and breath. Gradually increase to 15 reps per side. A Northwestern University study followed 800 adults over 60 with stage 1 or 2 hypertension for 1 year. After 8 weeks, the dead bug group reduced average blood pressure from 152 over 94 to 140 over 85. By 6 months, it dropped to 134 over 81, with 43% achieving normal readings below 130 over 80 without medication changes. The walking control group showed just 4.2 points systolic reduction. What shocked researchers was the impact on blood pressure variability. The dead bug group showed 58% reduction in variability, indicating much more stable cardiovascular function. When researchers investigated mechanisms, they discovered the exercise increased heart rate variability by 67%, improved arterial stiffness by 29%, decreased stress hormones by 34%, reduced inflammatory markers by 41%, and improved baroreflex sensitivity by 52%. A University of California, San Francisco brain imaging study found dead bugs activate brain regions involved in cardiovascular control more intensely than any other exercise tested. After 12 weeks, participants showed structural brain changes with increased gray matter, correlating directly with blood pressure improvements. The exercise literally rewires your brain's cardiovascular control centers. If the standard version feels challenging, keep both feet on floor and practice just arm movements first. Once comfortable, add leg movements. You can extend your leg only halfway initially. Place a small pillow under your lower back for support. As you progress, increase the hold time to 5 seconds. Perform with eyes closed to remove visual feedback, or add very light ankle weights. A Yale study examined stress response and found the dead bug group showed dramatically blunted stress response. When stressed, their blood pressure increased only 8 points compared to 23 points in non-exercisers. Their cortisol rose 54% less, and blood pressure returned to baseline 3.7 times faster. Regular practice trains your cardiovascular system to stay calm under pressure. Time of day matters significantly. Spanish. Research found performing dead bugs first thing in the morning had greatest impact on daytime blood pressure control, while evening practice was most effective for nighttime blood pressure and sleep quality. Ideal strategy is 5 reps per side both morning and evening for comprehensive 24-hour control. A Boston University long-term study tracked participants for 3 years and found blood pressure benefits continue increasing over time rather than plateauing. By year 3, participants achieved average reductions of 22 points systolic and 14 points diastolic, comparable to 3 blood pressure medications simultaneously, but achieved through natural movement. About 38% of participants taking medications were able to reduce or eliminate them under doctor supervision after consistent practice. A Cleveland Clinic study enrolled 1,200 adults over 60 with hypertension and followed them for 5 years. The dead bug group performing the exercise 4 times weekly had 68% fewer major cardiovascular events compared to medication-only controls. They had 71% fewer strokes, attributed to improved blood pressure control, reduced variability, and enhanced cerebral blood flow. The study concluded dead bugs might be one of the most powerful cardiovascular protective interventions available. Now let's talk about combining all 5 exercises into an effective routine. The total time commitment is 22 to 25 minutes, and research suggests 4 times per week produces optimal results. Start with 5 minutes of gentle movement, then perform exercises in the order discussed, spending 3 to 4 minutes on each including rest periods. Finish with 2 to 3 minutes of slow, deep breathing while lying comfortably. A University of Michigan study found 4 sessions per week produced better reductions than daily exercise. Rest days allow optimal physiological adaptation. Participants exercising daily showed 11.3-point reductions, while those doing 4 times weekly achieved 15.7 points. Regarding timeline, most people see measurable reductions within the first 2 weeks, averaging 5 to 7 points systolic. Improvements accelerate between weeks 3 and 8, when most total reduction occurs. After 8 weeks, blood pressure stabilizes at the new lower level with consistent practice. Some continue seeing gradual improvements for up to 6 months. Monitor your blood pressure regularly when starting these exercises, especially if taking medications. These exercises can significantly lower blood pressure, potentially making medication dosage too strong. Work with your healthcare provider and monitor at home a few times weekly. Johns Hopkins research found 47% of participants needed medication adjustments within 3 months, most requiring dosage reductions. Never adjust medications on your own. All 5 exercises can be modified for joint problems or mobility limitations. Research shows even highly modified versions produce significant blood pressure benefits when you challenge yourself appropriately for your current level. If you have uncontrolled high blood pressure above 180/110, work with your doctor to get into a safer range with medication before starting. If you've had a recent cardiovascular event within 3 months, get clearance from your cardiologist first. Can these completely replace medication? For some people, yes, but this must be decided with your healthcare provider. Research shows 35 to 40% of people with stage 1 hypertension can eventually discontinue medications under supervision. Many others still need medication, but at reduced dosages. The goal isn't necessarily eliminating all medications, but optimizing cardiovascular health through exercise and appropriate medication when needed. These exercises work best as part of comprehensive cardiovascular health. Combining them with healthy diet, particularly lower sodium and rich in fruits, vegetables, and whole grains, produces synergistic effects. Duke University found participants combining exercises with dietary improvements achieved 37% greater reductions, averaging 19.8 points compared to 14.4 for exercise alone. However, starting with just exercise will produce meaningful benefits, and success often naturally motivates positive changes in other areas. Blood pressure benefits begin diminishing after about 2 weeks of inactivity and typically return to pre-exercise levels after 8 to 12 weeks of complete cessation. However, people who exercised consistently for many months can maintain most benefits with reduced frequency during temporary breaks. One study found those exercising consistently for 6 months maintained 78% of improvements by reducing to just 1 session weekly during maintenance. View this as long-term lifestyle practice rather than temporary intervention. Practical strategies for maintaining consistency include exercising at the same time daily, which helps establish automatic habits. Morning exercises show 73% consistency after 1 year compared to 52% for variable times. Prepare your exercise space the night before. Track your blood pressure regularly and keep a log visualizing improvements. People monitoring and tracking have 2.4 times higher adherence than those who don't. Connect with others working on similar goals. Social support is one of the strongest predictors of long-term maintenance. Focus on how you feel, not just numbers. Most report feeling more energetic, sleeping better, experiencing less stress, having better balance, and feeling more confident within weeks. If you're thinking you'll try this after your schedule settles down, recognize that as resistance keeping people stuck. There will always be something happening. Your cardiovascular health can't wait for the perfect moment. Start now, imperfectly, with whatever time and energy you have. Think about what's at stake. Uncontrolled high blood pressure is the single leading risk factor for heart attack, stroke, heart failure, kidney disease, dementia, and premature death. Now think about what's possible. Reducing blood pressure by 15 to 20 points naturally, potentially reducing or eliminating medications, having more energy, sleeping better, thinking more clearly, moving more confidently. All genuinely possible and not particularly difficult or time-consuming. These exercises don't require expensive equipment or extraordinary abilities. They simply require commitment to showing up consistently. Every single day, you allow blood pressure to remain elevated is unnecessary damage to your blood vessels, heart, kidneys, brain, and virtually every organ. But every day you perform these exercises is healing and improvement. Your blood vessels becoming more flexible, your autonomic nervous system balancing, your heart working more efficiently, inflammation calming, your entire cardiovascular system becoming healthier. The choice between continued deterioration versus progressive improvement is in your hands. It comes down to whether you're willing to invest about 90 minutes per week. That's roughly 1% of your time during the week. You're choosing whether to invest 1% of your time to protect your cardiovascular health and potentially add years of healthy, independent living. So here's my challenge. Don't just watch this video and move on. Actually do something with this information. Commit right now to trying these exercises for 8 weeks. Mark it on your calendar. Set phone reminders. Prepare your exercise space. Tell someone about your commitment and ask them to help keep you accountable. Take a baseline blood pressure measurement. Then start tomorrow. Not next week, tomorrow. Start with wall sits, even if you can only hold for 10 seconds. Add the resistance band rows. Modified. Plan